I think it's important to not only attend the conference for what they can learn, but for living their life. From my standpoint, purpose is what fuels passion. There are so many people I see today who are living with purpose, and so many living without purpose. I think that's tragic. It doesn't need to be that way. I think aging is simply a part of the human condition, but people age differently. I know some people in their 50s and 60s who are old because they've taken care of their outsides, but they've not taken care of their insides. And so they get into health problems or they lose their zest for living. On the other hand, I've seen 70, 80, and 90-year-olds who have a great zest for life, but in almost every case, it's fueled by purpose in their life and follows them passion. Those people are not wandering aimlessly in their life of retirement. They haven't been caught up in the elixir or the siren call of retirement, which is you are now free to do whatever you want. Your time is absolutely free for you. It doesn't happen that way. At least it doesn't happen that way for people who are engaged. And I see people in their, people in their 90s who are still vital. And I would put them up mentally against any person 50. But it's because they still have that zest for life. There is a very well-known philanthropist in this city who is a contributor to UNO by the name of Dick Holland. He's 92 years old. I would put him up against any college graduate in terms of his mental acuities even today. But he's always been fueled by purpose and passion. There are others I know who are 60 and they look better on the outside, but on the inside, not so much. And it isn't because they're ill or anything, it's because they have stopped processing. They're much more interested in talking about their past than the future. So there's great conversation if you live in a retirement village sometimes about how much rain did we get last night? Or what's Obama going to do today? You know, that's to me not particularly engaging, nor does it smack of passion or purpose. And I think it's unfortunate. And those people who are like that really are not living a fulfilled life, in my judgment. Years ago, many years ago, I went to a conference, kind of like this one, where the keynote speaker was Cliff Robertson. Now that doesn't mean anything to you, but Cliff Robertson was as big a movie star as any of the young men today in movies. Not only that, but he had married an heiress who had millions and millions and millions of dollars. So he was telling this conference that he had this wonderful movie career. He was very wealthy by any standards. He could go anywhere he wanted to travel, but he had this sense of loneliness, this sense of ennui, and he was not happy. Someone asked him to volunteer for a project, and that turned him around. He told the audience, and he said, that made all the difference in my life. I had something now to live for. Now think about that. Here's a movie star, a man who by most standards that we equate people with, had everything, but he was lonely. He was simply living aimlessly. And that's why it's so important. I would say this: live a life where you continue to process information and for where you are looking for your passion. I'm 81 years old. I'm still heavily involved. I don't feel like I'm 81. I'm not sure what that's supposed to feel like. I feel like I'm 20. And in some ways, I'm a whole lot smarter than I was at 20. Part of it is I have wisdom. Now that sounds silly. It sounds like I'm bragging. I'm not bragging. It just comes with age. How do I know I have wisdom? Because I get phone calls from people wanting my opinion. I get phone calls from people who want to talk to me. And they somehow think I've got something to tell them. Now, in a lot of cases I don't, but they think I have some wisdom. And what I've found is what I consider to be kind of ordinary, they think is extraordinary when I talk with them. So, you know, I have processed, I continue to process, and I had a great working life. But now I have more time to think about things and to be able to continue to process and live. And I see so many people who do not process anymore. They're living their past. I think that's bad business. I had a working career of 40 years. 20 years of them spent here as chancellor on this campus. Those 40 years were wonderful. But when I retired, I did not think of that as the end of my life. I see retirement as a continuum of just another phase of your life. And what I've found is that I am busier, or just as busy in retirement as I was working. You know, you often hear retired people say, I'm just so busy, I don't have any time for myself. I think that's a good thing. You know, I think people who retire and want to play golf all the rest of their life, that's okay. But it's not the kind of enriched life that I'm talking about, which I think gives you passion and purpose.